Good evening. I'll be very open with you. First of all, I lost my voice on Shabbat. I was at the oil, so you can imagine how much singing and talking and praying and learning we did. And point number two is I have a flight very soon. So after I finish speaking, I'm going to run out. So hopefully we'll be back and we'll have more time to verbring. Rabbi William suggested maybe you come for the verbring, and I said I wish. That's what I love to do, to verbring. Speeches is not my fun way of discussing and speaking and interacting, but I'll try my best. When we think today about the Rebbe, I'm sure there are many ways how to describe the Rebbe and what did he do to influence so many people. But one of the things that touched me time and again, learning by the Rebbe, watching him, the Rebbe was, I believe, the happiest person on earth on one end, and the most not satisfied person on earth. And the two things actually look opposites. If you're so unsatisfied, you never feel that you did enough. You're always asking to do more. So how are you so happy? And we know all the stories of people coming to the Rebbe and saying, Rebbe, I opened a school, I have 200 kids. The Rebbe says, 200, why not 400? And many such stories of people coming and thinking, wow, the Rebbe is going to say, you're incredible. What you achieved is unbelievable. And the Rebbe said, well, why can't you do more? And one more Jew, and one more Jew. And where does this happiness from the Rebbe come from? The Rebbe sadly had no children, suffered terribly throughout his young years. The Rebbe went through every possible hardship that the Jewish people went through. Communism, Holocaust, seeing the assimilation, his family being killed and persecuted. The Rebbe was practically left alone. And the Rebbe was the happiest person on earth. Not only was he happiest, he made everybody else around him happy. So I want to discuss with you, I'll try to verbring a little about what is happiness, where does it come from, and where do I feel that the Rebbe actually inspired me to become a happy person. So, first of all, I'm from Italy, for those that don't know. So everything by me is a soccer game. And what is the happiest moment for a young child in Italy? Is winning a soccer game, right? Because you have a team that is challenging you and you're able to play better than them. And this is really the source of happiness, is overcoming certain challenges. Even though you think happiness will come by buying something or being, the richest or the most beautiful or whatever, actually it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and if it does work, it works for a very short time. But actually looking back and looking at the achievements that you're able to do, something that you're able to overcome, and you're able to do more and more and more, that actually gives you happiness. So I want to share with you, I don't think I ever did this, but maybe today is a special day, time to speak openly about who we are. When I was young, I was the most shy person on earth. I'm not exaggerating. Just to give an example, when I came here to America to learn, my grandfather called my parents and he said, we must send him right away to a psychologist. I'm not sure he's going to help, but he doesn't know how to open his mouth. I ask him questions, he doesn't answer, he just doesn't talk. I was as shy as you can imagine. And I came to learn here by the Rebbe. And I remember hearing from the Rebbe certain statements which are shocking. I'll give you an example. The Rebbe said, why doesn't someone have the ability to go over to somebody else and ask him to put on tefillin, or to light Shabbos candles, or to learn Torah? You know why he doesn't do it? It's because of his ego. And at that moment I said, it's because of his ego, it's because he's shy. And the Rebbe adds, it's because he's afraid what is going to be the reaction of this person. What is he going to say to me? He might turn me off and say, nah, I don't need it. Leave me alone. And that's the problem. The problem is that you hurt his ego. This person didn't listen to you. You weren't able to influence him. And the Rebbe says, actually, bittul, becoming humble, the way to do it is actually by being able to approach somebody else and reaching out to someone and helping him. As was said before, when we ask somebody to put on tefillin, we don't do it because we want to put a check on our biography and say, oh, we put on that amount of tefillin. No, we do it because the same way if I know that there's a huge sale in Bloomingdale's and I have a good friend, I'm going to go and tell him, you have no idea what's going on down the block. Because I love him, I care for him. If we really care for him, we're going to give him whatever we feel is going to be great for him. And that's the way we believe is going to make the world a better place, when people are going to be the happiest. So it's not only about being happy yourself. You are the happiest person when you make others happy. I remember a story that happened when I was learning in yeshiva. Thank God it didn't happen with me, but I heard the story firsthand. There was a man that was in a huge mess. If I'm not mistaken, he was from Flatbush, and everything was going wrong. Everything that could go wrong was wrong. And he came into 770 by somebody's suggestion that told him, the only one that can help you is the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Go speak to him. He'll give you answers to all your questions that you have. So he came to 770 and he walks in and he says, can I speak to the Rebbe? And they told him, little chance, but go to the secretary. He went into the office and he started crying and he said, please, I must speak to the Rebbe. This was 1983. Private audiences was already not happening. And the Rebbe wasn't meeting people one-on-one anymore. So the secretary told him, you can come $2, you can come write a letter to the Rebbe. The Rebbe reads himself every letter. The Rebbe opens every letter, answers every letter, put it into writing. He says, it's impossible to put into writing. It's so many problems, so many questions. Even if the Rebbe answers me one question, I have another one, and then another one. It's impossible. It's going to go on for months. The secretary said to him, sorry, there's no way to bring in a private audience. He walks into the shul, and he sits down and starts crying. And somebody goes over to him and asks him, how can I help you? What can I do for you? And he tells him the story, and this young boy tells him, actually, if somebody will find out what I'm telling you now, I'm finished. So please, don't tell anyone who told you this. But if you want to know where you can catch the Rebbe, when the Rebbe leaves his home in the morning on the way to shul, you can go over to him and speak to him. It's the only time that the Rebbe is alone and you can approach him. That's what he did. The next morning, he stood there on the street, waited for the Rebbe to walk out. He approaches the Rebbe, starts asking one question, the Rebbe answers him, another question, the Rebbe answers him. And this conversation went on for 7 minutes. The Rebbe is standing next to the car, the driver is waiting, the Rebbe starts speaking, he won't interrupt him. Finally, after 7 minutes, this special Jew was in seventh heaven. All the problems were solved. He got all the answers. He knew what to do. He got the Rebbe's brachas. He was flying. The Rebbe gets into the car, and all of a sudden, 2 young boys go over to him and they started screaming at him. Chutzpah, who gave you permission to do this? Are you crazy? Do you realize the Rebbe is going to come 7 minutes late to shul? Thousands of people are waiting for him. Imagine if everybody that wanted to speak to the Rebbe would do the same as you. Where did you get this? Who gave you permission to do this? This person all of a sudden was completely broken. He realized he did the wrong thing. So he came back in 770, and he already knew that he can write a letter to the Rebbe, and he wrote a letter, and he tells the Rebbe the whole story. I'm the man that you met not too long ago. You helped me, I want to thank you, but I realized I made a big mistake. So I'm asking what is called a tikkun. Please give me a way to fix my mistake. What can I do to fix what I did? And the Rebbe answered him a few hours later. Point number 1, the Rebbe says, if you can please find these 2 young boys, and that's how we know the story. Can you please find these 2 young boys and ask them what were they doing in the street during yeshiva time? They're supposed to be in yeshiva at that time. Why were they in the street watching what's going on? Point number 2, it's known by the Baal Shem Tov taught us that a neshama comes down to this world 70 or 80 years to do a favor to another person, spiritually or materially. Who knows? Umi yodea, the Rebbe writes, who knows? Maybe this is the favor for which my neshama came down to this world. And these young boys wanted to take away from me the possibility to fulfill my mission in this world. We all know what the Rebbe achieved. We don't know what the Rebbe achieved. But we can get an idea of the people that the Rebbe touched. And the Rebbe sees one single Jew. And he says, maybe, mi yodea in Kabbalah is actually a very high level of the hidden knowledge. Who knows, maybe this is the favor that I was supposed to do why I came down to this world. And I remember hearing the story at that time, and I really realized that it's actually, we are here not about our ego. It's not about ourselves. It's not about my comfort, and it's not about my career. It's about my mission. What am I here in the world for? I'm shy? Yes, I'm shy. But I'm not going to fulfill my mission if I'm going to continue being shy. Why am I shy? Probably because I have an ego. At the end of this last conversation, I don't know if you heard, I'll repeat it again just in case somebody didn't hear. What every one of us understands, that the biggest revenge, they mentioned this couple, Sasha and Sapir, Sasha Trufanov and Sapir Cohen, who pushing them, that's it, time to get engaged, time to get married. Actually, on Thursday, he went to the Oel, and they wrote to the Rebbe, that's it, we're getting engaged. And he walked out, and we're mazel tov and all of that, but he still didn't give her the ring, still didn't propose, but they were by the Oel already. But for us, the biggest revenge, and what happened on October 7th, the bigger revenge to all our enemies is building a Jewish family. So actually, I would suggest to Rabbi Wilhelm, close the doors, and nobody leaves here alone. I don't mean with your girlfriend I mean a real girlfriend and a real boyfriend. And we have to understand, the reason that we are not ready to approach somebody in this room and say, let's get to know each other, it's because of our ego. She might say no. And for sure, he might say no. But you know why? You try once, you try second time, try third time, and you just keep on pushing because it's not about my ego, it's about my mission. What do I have to achieve in this world? Who am I? You know who you are? I'll share with you my favorite story of the Rebbe. Everybody has his favorite story. It's favorite not only because it's the essence of what the Rebbe is trying to tell each one of us, but it's also, first of all, it's for sure a true story because I saw the handwritten letter and the handwriting of the Rebbe on the letter. And I think it's also a very empowering lesson. This man writes to the Rebbe, I walked into a synagogue. It sounds like it's the first time in his life that he walked into a synagogue. And he went over to an elder person that was sitting there in the synagogue, and he said, can you please show me what a righteous man, what a tzaddik looks like? And he keeps on writing to the Rebbe. And this person, what did he do when I asked him this question? He practically kicked me out of the synagogue. He told me, are you crazy? What do you think, it's a museum? You come here to watch what a tzaddik looks like? Here it's a place to pray, to learn. Get out of here. And he sent me out. And he writes to the Rebbe in Hebrew, Ha'im yesh inyan, is there any truth, any essence, any point in what this person told me? He hurt my feelings, I'm completely hurt, and for sure, he wants to know, is there any point in what this person said? And the Rebbe crosses out the word ha'im. Is there? Is, question mark, right? And the Rebbe writes, yesh inyan. There is a point, gadol. There's actually a huge point, a strong point in what this person said. There's actually a lot of truth in what this person said. He was telling you the truth. The Rebbe says, I'm sure you, whatever, I don't know if the words, I'm sure, but it says in the Talmud that before a neshama comes down to this world, they make a promise with him that you're going to be a tzaddik. You're going to be a righteous man. You are the righteous man. Look at yourself in the mirror and you find the tzaddik. Only thing you have to do is reveal your inner potential. The power that you have within you has to come out. And then you're going to realize that you are the tzaddik. The Rebbe actually doesn't feel bad for him. The Rebbe doesn't tell him, oh, this person hurt your feelings, I feel so bad for you. Yes, the Rebbe was very compassionate. But the Rebbe was even more demanding. The Rebbe wanted each one of us to go to his extreme possibility to change himself and to change the world around him. I'll share with you a story that happened with me. That's what Rabbi Willem asked me to share stories. So today is like, I don't know, AAA. I feel like I'm opening up all my secrets. This was around 7-8 months after I was sent by the Rebbe to Russia. At that time it was the Soviet Union still. You heard it wasn't fun. And at a certain point I had a question. I wrote a letter to the Rebbe, a 6-page letter. You could imagine how complicated the question was. It was after asking advice from many different rabbis around the world, thinking about this for a long time. And I wrote a letter to the Rebbe. I was proud. I'm able to ask the Rebbe such an important question, decisive question. I won't tell you the whole answer because it's too private and too complicated. I'll just tell you the last lines. It's going to be first in Hebrew. Kol zman she'ein berussia chabadi chazak askan beteva ubemeretz eich tikach al atzma eich tikach Chabad al atzma achrayus eizu shehi. As long that in Russia there won't be a Chabadnik, strong, an activist by nature and with energy, how could Chabad take on itself any kind of responsibility? So this is like for a chassid to receive such an answer, especially people of my age in that time, was like, whoa. Like the Rebbe is telling me, you're not fit for the job. Let's find somebody that knows what it means to be a strong Chabadnik, whatever strong Chabadnik means. We are actually very soft normally, but you have to be a strong Chabadnik, an activist by nature and with energy, and otherwise Chabad can't take on itself any kind of responsibility. So it didn't take me long. I got into a plane, I came to New York, I went to the secretary of the Rebbe, and I said, okay, here are the keys. I understand my job is over. The Rebbe is telling me, you don't know what you're doing. You cannot take responsibility. We need somebody that knows what he's doing and he could take responsibility. Somebody who's going to be an activist by nature, with energy, a strong person. And the secretary tells me, actually, the Rebbe wants you to be this Chabadi, Chazak, Askan, B'Teva, B'Meret. The Rebbe wants you to become this activist by nature and with energy. And that's the way the Rebbe built his Chassidim. The Rebbe didn't build the Chassidim by just saying, you're great, I want to give you compliments, you did an excellent job. No, the Rebbe demands from us. The Rebbe wants us to do more. The Rebbe wants us to go the last mile with all the strength that we can, with happiness. That should be our nature, to be an activist, and with energy. And then I woke up. Then I realized, you know what? We're not here to play games. The Rebbe didn't send us just to be the nice guy. Sometimes you have to demand from Jews. Sometimes you have to close the doors and don't let anybody out. And sometimes you have to push yourself to wake up what you can do. You could become somebody very strong. A Chabadi by nature is somebody that cares for others. So do it with energy. Do it by nature. Don't just, have an easy day. So, till last week, I always knew that the Rebbe demands from us always to grow and to grow and to grow and to grow. We all know the Rebbe always said, if you made $100, the Talmud says, you're not satisfied. You want $200. If you made 200, we just heard that Loeb said your dream shouldn't be to become rich. Yes, your dream should be to become very rich and support Chabad and make sure another Jew has a pair of tefillin or another synagogue is going to be built or a mikveh. We need all of you to become very rich, married and rich. They say, happy wife, happy life. If you're rich, your wife is going to be happy and everything's going to be happy. So actually, I always knew that the Rebbe wants us to keep on growing. And that's probably the reason why the Rebbe is never satisfied. Because time goes by and you have to grow. We all know what the Rebbe said about Hanukkah. Yesterday you lit 1 candle, today 1 is not enough. Today you have to light 2. Tomorrow, 2 won't be enough. For today, 2 is great, but tomorrow you have to add 1 more. Malin b'kodesh. You have to keep on growing. And if you're talking about holiness, that's the only way. You cannot go down. In Russia, they say, it's a Hasidic saying, the life is like a bicycle. If you're standing in one place, you're going to fall. If it's easy and you're moving, you're probably going downhill. If it's tough, and you're moving, then you're going uphill. So it's all about the whole time we are moving, we're growing. The Rebbe spoke about this idea thousands of times, and many, many different lessons that we can bring out of the Torah. Last week's Pasha, this week's Pasha, always is about growth, more and more and more. It's always new. Tomorrow has to be better than today. By Chassidische Verbringen, normally at the end of the Verbringen, the Mashpia, the teacher says, okay, everybody together. Morgen wird sein gar anders. Tomorrow will be incredibly different. Tomorrow is going to be a different day altogether. There was once a boy in yeshiva, and when they used to come and wake him up, he used to take his pillow, go under the pillow and say, tomorrow is going to be way different. And we have to say this at night before we go to sleep. In the morning we have to wake up like lions. Am kilavi yakum. What does Rashi say? People that they wake up and they grab the talis, Shema Yisrael, the tefillin. That's who we are. We are people that every day we wake up and want to do more and more and more. And that's the way I always knew the Rebbe taught us. Every day, more and more and more. And around 10 days ago, I heard the Sikh of the Rebbe. The Rebbe is discussing what is called Shivat Yemei Miluim. 7 days when you can fulfill and make up for the sacrifices that we had to bring at the time of the Beit HaMikdash. So at the time of the Beit HaMikdash, every holiday you had to bring the Korban Re'iyah, the sacrifice, because if you're so happy, so excited, you came to the Beit HaMikdash, you brought a sacrifice. So you can do it really on the first day, but the Talmud says you have 7 days, Shivat Yemei Miluim. The Rebbe asks, why is it 7 days of making up, bringing the Korban? You should say you have 6 days to make up. The first day, you have to bring it. You have to bring the sacrifice. And then you have 6 days to make up. Why is it 7 days of making up, of bringing the Korban? And the Rebbe gives an incredible answer. We are talking about a Jew that on the first day of the Yom Tov, of the Chag, came into the Beit HaMikdash and he didn't bring his Korban. He didn't bring the sacrifice. He walks out and 3 hours later he says, am I crazy? I was there. I didn't fulfill the mitzvah. Velo yero panareikam. I didn't come to God with a sacrifice. And he said, I must make this up. I'm going to go back now. I'm going to get a sacrifice and bring it back to the Beit HaMikdash. So actually, the Rebbe says we're talking about somebody that changed his whole connection to God in the middle of the day. It's not about every day growing. In the same day, we keep on growing. We pray in the morning, we grew. We pray in the afternoon, we changed. We pray in the evening, we changed again. Every day, every hour, the Rebbe says, every moment, we have to keep on growing. And I realized what the Rebbe demands from us. Why isn't the Rebbe never satisfied? Because he wants us to keep on growing. He said 200 Jews came to this beautiful event, and the Rebbe will tell you, great, 200, you should be the happiest, you should be the proudest. But tomorrow you have to have 201. If tomorrow you'll have 201, the next day you have to have 202. And actually, on the same day, you have to add 202, 203, 204, don't stop. That it means to be not satisfied. On one hand, we know, yes, what we have achieved is incredible. And we are happy because we see the results. We're able to touch one more Jew, make one more Jew happy, and we can keep on growing, but it's not enough. We have to keep on growing again and again and again. So being not satisfied doesn't mean being in depression, saying I'm a failure, I didn't succeed. When the Rebbe told people, you have 200, you should have 400, the Rebbe is actually telling him, you're amazing, but you can do more. You can double your efforts. And I'm sure that on such a special day of Gimel Tammuz, it's not only about making a special effort that I should change, but changing people around us. I'll share with you, I learned here in New York for 10 years. My tefillin campaign was actually standing in the streets of New York and asking people, hey, do you want to put on tefillin? No, do you look Jewish? Or look what a nose, the nose looks really Jewish. And one of my friends, I remember, was going over to ladies and saying, you should light the Shabbat, he was from Israel, so he didn't really know English so well. You have to light the Shabbat candles to eliminate the world. And people were saying, why should we eliminate the world? And I want to tell you one thing, it's not easy. Standing in the streets, freezing cold, asking people, getting turned off, time after time. But this shy young boy was able to actually break this barrier. I remember once asking a person, did you put tefillin? And he turns around, oh man, you're asking me if I put tefillin? Of course I put tefillin. So no, did you put tefillin on somebody else today? Of course you put tefillin. Did you put on tefillin, did you wrap tefillin on someone else? Easy to put on tefillin on your own. That's the easiest thing to do. Wake up in the morning, 5 minutes, a moment you can connect to God. I always tell people, when you put on tefillin, close your eyes. The same as with lighting Shabbat candles. It's the moment that God is listening to you. Use this opportunity. And I tell people, it's a moment you are connected to God. Like when you turn on the phone, imagine you can turn on the phone and speak to God and ask Him whatever you want. So that's what the tefillin is like. The BBC reporter in Moscow, somebody Jewish, tells me, wow, incredible. Look, tefillin and telephone are the same letters. It is our telephone to God. And lighting the Shabbat candles brings not only light to our home, brings light in our life, and gives us an opportunity to ask Hashem whatever we want. So if you have such an opportunity to share it with somebody else, that is our job. That's what the Rebbe wants from us. I was by the Ohel on Shabbat, as I mentioned in the beginning, and the rabbi comes over to me. He made my day. He comes over to me and he tells me, I am a rabbi in a synagogue in Israel, and there's a Jew that started coming constantly to the prayers. Every day he comes to the prayer. And where did it all start? Because he put on tefillin on him on a plane. So I have hundreds of stories. I always say in the plane, it's like locking the doors here. They can't get out. They can't move. What could they do? They can't jump off the plane. So sooner or later, they're going to put on tefillin. So he tells me, this guy started putting on tefillin with you. He put on tefillin the first time on the plane. And from then on, he changed. And today he's coming to the synagogue every day. And he tells me, but I want to tell you what happened to me. He says, I got onto the plane. Leaving Israel is not easy these days. So he had to have a crazy trip. Finally, on the leg from Frankfurt to New York, he got onto a seat and he fell asleep. And when he woke up, the guy next to him tells him, you're not a Chabadnik, right? He said, actually I am. No, you're not. He said, why not? Because I'm sitting next to you. I'm Jewish. You didn't even ask me to put on tefillin. So you're not a Chabadnik. And he says, no, let's go and put on tefillin. He says, no, now it's too late. You should have asked. When I offer, it's too late. So actually, it's all about us breaking this barrier of being shy, going over to somebody else, and telling them what we feel, what we know. Like he said, if you know Aleph, tell them about an Aleph. If you want to approach someone, it doesn't make a difference what. The Rebbe taught us to get rid of your ego, your shyness, your laziness, your worried about what's going to happen. We heard before, don't be scared to be scared. Let's jump. Let's do what we could do. Let's open up our potential, our passion, our energy, and become, what the Rebbe told me 35 years ago, an activist by nature. This has to become our nature. Our nature has to become active, proactive, reaching out to one more person. And I want to tell you one thing. The best feeling is when you hear that you're able to help somebody sometimes with a compliment, sometimes with giving him advice, sometimes by telling him to put on tefillin, sometimes by sitting and learning something with him, inviting him to your home for Shabbat. These small acts change people's lives, and they're going to be indebted forever. That's what we are for the Rebbe. The Rebbe gave us the best present in the world. Forget about yourself, think about others. I want to finish with a beautiful line that I heard from Sasha Trufanov. This is the hostage that was by Dan Loeb and by Joe. I was sitting at dinner with him and I asked him, tell me, what do you think about Chabad? The real truth. Did you know Chabad before October 7th? Did you see Chabad now? He says, actually in Israel I did not see Chabad. I heard from Ron Dremer a beautiful line. This is parentheses. He says, Chabad is the only organization the Rebbe taught you how to be authentic and fully inclusive. Every Jew will feel comfortable, but you're remaining authentic. And I think that's what each one of us has to remain authentic, but being inclusive. So ask Sasha, tell me the truth about Chabad. So he said, I want to tell you, I traveled around the States, the world, the last 2 months, speaking everywhere, and I've seen one thing. Chabad is inclusive. Everybody feels comfortable. But, he says, that's not what really made me understand what Chabad is. I realized when I was a hostage that till October 7, I wasn't happy. I had everything in my life. I had a great job. He works in Amazon. I had a parents, family, girlfriend. I had everything I wanted, friends, everything I had, but I wasn't happy. And actually, I found happiness in Gaza, realizing that I won't be happy if I'm going to be thinking only about myself. When I'm going to be thinking about others, that's when I'm going to be happy. It says, Chabad taught me one thing. Everybody thinks about what can I take. The Rebbe taught us how to give. So let's give love to each other. Let's give happiness to each other. Let's care for each other. Giving the gift that the Rebbe gave each one of us, making somebody else happy is going to make us happy. So I want to wish all of you that very soon you should be the happiest by making your soulmate happy.
Thank you very much.
Can I run?
You're a young, shy man.